Hi, everyone, and welcome to the SWE Podcast. So, this podcast is hosted by Berkeley Society of Women Engineers, where we dive into the journeys of inspiring professionals across different industries and where they uncover their stories, give insights, and some advice. So, today I'll be your host, Jessie, and I'm just a student here at Berkeley. Um, we have a very special guest joining us from Visa, Kalyani Nune. She's had a fascinating career journey, and we're really thrilled to hear about what led her to her current role and the advice she has for students and young professionals. So, Kalyani, thank you so much for joining us today. So to start, can you tell us a bit about your career journey and what led you to your current role at Visa?
Hi, Jessie. Thank you so much for having me here today in the SWE Podcast. Very exciting as well as very inspiring to see all of you doing what you guys are doing. I hope I'll have some value to the podcast to all the people who are listening to us today. So this is Kalyani Nune. I'm part of the Data and AI Platform Organization of Visa, and I do head Gen AI knowledge management and knowledge assets for the Gen AI applications team in Visa. And a brief about me is that in terms of the career journey, is that what you wanted me to tell you a little bit?
Oh yeah, just generally what
Yes.
has
So I have been with Visa for quite some time now, good 11 years. And I'll pause here for you to ask me the next set of questions, and then we will go from here.
Okay, yeah, of course. Okay, yeah, thank you so much for giving that background. So I guess looking back to your younger life, what were some really early experiences that had significantly shaped your career path? And was there a moment or project that really stands out?
Sure. Maybe before I go to answer your question about the whole projects or what actually brought my career to here, I can add a little bit more about my career journey. I have an electrical and electronics bachelor's degree from India, and started my career very much like a programmer analyst. So there was some title like programmer analyst in the past. What we actually used to do is like the code reviews.
Wow.
um, yeah, so it's interesting on how my journey began reviewing someone else's code, where I'm already learning my own code, how to code. So, and to give and build some standards of the coding, and what is the right approach and how fast that developers can actually ship their code to production. So it used to be very challenging at the same time, because I have to understand what particular feature of the product that they are developing to learn their code, and also assess their code and come up with some standards. Very young in my career I had done, and very interesting and challenging at that time. And we don't have any social media or Googles or nothing in the our co-pilots or AIs to even help us, guide us, or mentor us, or monitor us. So that was an interesting era of the world. And due to some circumstances, I have to shift to United States from India, and I started my career as a software development engineer in test at Google. So that was an interesting shift, as well as a very much aspiring role I took, and very proud to launch Gmail back then, as a
Oh,
first
wow.
Gmail launch. I know, right? Everybody Gmail now, and I feel, oh my goodness, look at that. We didn't even know that this is going to be super big like this when we were doing that first production launch. And the funny part about Gmail, how you get even an email that you can get into sign up. So we can send it to 5 of our friends or 10 of our friends to as an invitation, as a link to join, and that's how they even get to even have a Gmail address. So
Mhm.
that's how it used to be before it went on, the production launch back those days. So yes, I did like quite a number of companies before I came to Visa. So I did work for Google and Microsoft, and I was doing a lot more of the roles which are very close to my own work and my own responsibilities. And that's when I thought, sometimes I do own someone else's work also and deliver it. And I have to do more than what I'm doing is what I felt at that time.
Yeah.
And then shifted a little bit from that to a startup company, because lot of times the startup companies have a lot of opportunities where you have to wear multiple hats. It's not like a designated role that you have to do only as in a software developer or a product owner or a DevOps engineer. So there
Mhm.
are like many things that you can get to do, as the startup's intention is like they have to be first in the market, right?
Oh,
that
yeah.
was that was definitely a good shift I felt in my career path, where I did from a individual single my own responsible role to a role which actually can play multiple things, and I can learn multiple different responsibilities at the work. So
Yeah.
that was a shift, and where I actually ended up taking more responsible roles, like managing a team, and going into a lead technical developer roles, and shifting the gears from individual contributor to a people manager, and helping everyone to grow in my team and empowering them to what they want to be. And also that shift happened, and in the current role as a senior director for the GenAI knowledge library service and data team, here
Mhm.
I'm responsible, like overall overseeing a lot of talented team of either data scientists, data engineers, to help
Mhm.
them maintain any cutting edge technology, or cutting edge tools and things that will help empower Visa's business, right? So it's going to help Visa definitely, all the business units with actionable insights. Visa has a vision, and we wanted to have that coming into more of you know uh, into the action with our things. So
Mhm.
that's the career journey, and that's how I am with Visa. Definitely, uh, going back to your question again, what is that my important project, or what is that project that made me feel good about
Mhm.
joining Visa? Is definitely a pivotal moment in my career. I was drawn to like Visa's innovative culture, or its impact on global payments industry, and overall how Visa everywhere.
Mhm. That's
So yeah,
right.
that's the thing. Visa has definitely played an important role because of where I am today. Uh,
Mhm.
Specific projects wise, it's not like a specific project. The ability how I was able to navigate in my career, to adapt myself, to learn new technology as it is coming, and also keeping myself up to date, and also embracing the changes that are coming, and and also the company that supports you to explore new things, is the reason where I feel like it has played a pivotal role in my career, being in the Visa right now. So yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I
Wow.
know.
Yes. You're so hardworking. You went through all these companies and then you wanted to like do more and have like more responsibility going to a startup. That's so insane. Wow. Did you
I
ever
think
feel,
it's
oh yeah, go ahead.
it is basically like how you are adapting to what you want to do. What is that your vision? What is that you feel like doing? What is that you want to learn? Where is that opportunity that you get, rather than sticking to a company, or sticking to a role, or sticking to a position? um, that's how I would say the molding happened, at least in my career journey.
Oh, I see. Wow. Did you ever feel like burnt out, like going through all like these transitions from company to company?
I would be lying if I say that I was not burnt out. Yeah, there will be moments definitely, like, okay, am I going too tactical? Will I be more strategic? What is that I have to now put into my new learnings, or new places, or like where is the areas that I have to put on? So the burnt out part happens sometimes only when you feel like you're not feeling like you are bringing the impact to the organization, or adding value to the organization. So
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit a high bar sometimes. Like I
Mhm.
learned it also learn on patting on my back that I did good, and don't be too hard on myself.
Yeah.
When we are too hard on ourselves, that's when we feel like, burnt out. So if we have high bar, right? Hey, all of you definitely at Berkeley studying, and you might be saying like, okay, I got probably A plus, but how do I maintain it? Will I be able to sustain it? Will I be able to be consistent about it, right?
So
So
true.
that's the same thing that we all go through, but at the same time, sometimes giving you a pause in terms of like, what is that I have achieved, and feel good about your accomplishments, and feel good about what you're bringing to the table, and feel good about how it is laying you a path forward.
Mhm.
And that's what I always do. I sit and do a reflection of myself. Okay, what did I do, and how did I do, and then helps me to come out of that burnout zone. And
Mm.
also, it's not easy. It's not just me who can go back and look into myself on what I have done well or not. It
Yeah.
is also sometimes you need your sponsors, you need your mentors.
That's very
You
true.
Yeah, you need to have someone go to and say, hey, you know what? I feel like I'm overdoing, or I don't know where the path from here. And I do have good mentors I do go to, and I do talk to them. And sometimes they give kudos, which makes me feel like, okay, yes, I have done something. So, yeah, that's how I usually overcome my burning out situations in general. So, yeah,
Oh wow. Sorry, just to go back. So you started out as like a data analyst, like programmer, right?
program analyst, yes.
Programmer analyst, and then it was like steadily continuing in that pathway, right? And you're currently like, oh, was it not?
No, that's
Oh,
interesting, right? Yes,
yeah.
I started as a programmer analyst and
Mhm.
shifted myself to a software developer in test. That's also called a QA engineer role, but we do code at that role versus quality engineer. So I said, like, I did not stick to a one role. It was my circumstances. I needed to shift my gear, so I took on a SDET role, and I was actually a manager also in SDET role itself. And
Oh,
while I was a manager in the QA and the SDET team, is when I was also working on the data engineering side of the work. And
oh,
that's when I moved my shift into the data engineering side, and I took on the management role for data engineering. And I moved to security actually within Visa from the
oh,
product.
wow.
I know I started with CyberSource, which is a Visa acquired company, and I
Mhm.
was part of the fraud detection team, which is very interesting on how we build our rules and all, like to prevent fraud. And
Mhm.
then I shifted to security organization of Visa, where I actually was part of Visa Security Analytics. So what we do in that team is so beautiful. How to protect our own company? How do we have insider threat can be prevented, or
Mm.
can so that was the Visa Security Analytics team that I was managing as part of the cybersecurity organization. And now I landed in a place where I am working on the Gen AI knowledge assets as part of the data and AI organization of Visa. So yes, programmer analyst, SDET engineer, SDET manager, data engineering manager, data engineering director, and then I went to a senior director for um, Gen AI knowledge assets.
Oh my gosh. That's a lot of roles. Can you clarify like what are the differences? Because for me, it kind of sounds like programmer and data engineer. They sound to be the same thing, but are they like different roles, or like can you like differentiate what these roles do?
Sure. Yeah. So basically, the software developer or a software developer in test. So as that role, basically the typical standard product development that they do. For example, if you say like, Kalyani, I want to build a website for my SWE team, like
Mhm.
Society of Women Engineers. And so what do you need? You need to have like, some developers who can build like, some APIs. And how do you have like, the UI with React or with the Java APIs, and you need Java developers and the software engineers to do that. And once you build the site, someone has to really go see like, they have to test the site whether it is working and if the intent is correct or not for each of the fields. If you're submitting like, okay, I want to be part of the SWE team and I want to come and join myself and click on like registering or like being subscribing, and I'm filling my information and submitting it, right? So who will test that it is going well or not? Yes, developers do test it as part of their coding unit testing it, but
Mhm.
someone also can test the product if it is working intentional. So they are the software developer engineers in test. They are the SDETs. So coming into the data engineering. So if you are actually feeding all the people who are all signing up to your SWE, for example, and you
Yeah.
need to have all their information sitting in the database in the backend, correct? So they
Yeah.
can be the backend engineers also. And once you have, like, for example, 1,000 students signed up or 3,000, and also year over year, like people would be joining SWE and leaving Berkeley and coming back. So if you
Yeah.
have to observe and if you have to build an analytics out of it, like how many people overall in every year are going to be part of this SWE team or not, and what are they doing, what are their majors are, and if they're undergrads who are joining, or we do have anyone beyond undergrads joining, or if they are only computer science students, all that analytics is built by data engineers.
Oh, I see.
So, yeah, so someone who actually takes that data that you have in the backend and processes it and pipeline build the processing of the data, and who transforms the data into analytics are also the data analysts and the data engineers. So
Oh,
that's the stream of the data engineering, and the product development is like more of the Java engineers developing websites, building the products, and doing the testing of it. They're all the other stream. So that's the difference between where I started as a programmer, as a software developer, and then I shifted myself to be the back-end data engineer to build, like, the whole analytics side of the data.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Very knowledgeable. Thank you for that. Yeah, that clarifies things much better. So moving on, you did say like you did all of these different roles and you definitely had some burnout, right? Um, I guess one of these like challenging moments, is there any of these experiences that you can share that turn into like a valuable lesson that like you learned or like you keep you remember for the rest of your career life or something like that?
I would say, I mean, not as a lesson, because every little thing is an experience in life. Nothing goes as something that we don't need.
Mhm.
So I always respect any situation in my life as something, as an experience to move forward,
Mhm.
rather than, looking back all the time. So
Yes.
I would say the important thing, rather than calling it, I would like to call more than a mistake, as a good opportunity or a good way to lead in the work wherever, is basically not to focus on only one thing. Like I said, I was initial days focusing mainly on what my work is, what are my technical solutions I'm bringing, what is that my team, and who am I, and just delivering the work was my focus.
Mhm.
Until some point of time, I did realize that, um, assuming the alignment without communication is not going to work. What I meant by that is, you need to have a communication channel. You need to build that everyone is on the same page, everyone is, like, appreciating, or everyone is looking at things that you are developing,
Mhm.
right? And
Yes.
so those are like certain things I feel like I should have learned earlier in my career, where
Mhm.
network building, mentors, building a right communication channel for what I do, and appreciating more and bringing the best out of people. So those are all some of the learnings over the period of time that I felt like not just going to do the work is going to cut it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because
Mhm.
we all sometimes forget about all those things, right? We will like, oh yeah, I know I'm done with my work. I finished my work. I'm gonna be like, you know, um, delivering it, and my manager will see it or my professor will see it. But no, sometimes it's important on what you do also, to the broader audience. I mean, like, having that communication and sharing, like, hey, this is all coming up, or this is what we built, or all those are definitely a good learnings, at least I had, as part of my path I should have done.
Wait, yeah, I agree completely. I feel like, yeah, a lot of students here were like very motivating. We always want to like do as much as possible. So we just forget about like communicating, and we just expect people to know even though we don't tell them. And
Yeah.
yeah, networking is very important. Do you have any specific advice for that? Or like, how do you improve on communication? Or how did you do it?
Sure. So, thank you so much. It is definitely not an overnight thing.
Yeah.
It's a journey, it's a practice, it's a consistency, and it's a consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So, first and foremost thing that I did was at least learn how to build and maintain a professional network, at work, even in visa. So it was also a guidance from my mentor, even my manager, like, hey, do you know this person, do they work in this group, and your project that you are building is going to be helpful in their team. Oh, do I need to connect my dots like this? I have never thought about it. If someone says hi to me, I'm
Uh-huh.
like, oh, hi, and that's it. Oh, I don't even bother to remember their name or what do they
Yeah.
do, which part of the team that they are. I don't really never used to connect the dots in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So once my manager back in Visa, when he introduced me to someone, and I forgot about that person's name later, and then he asked, like, did you remember we met the other person, they're going to use our product? I don't remember. So that's the first and foremost thing, right? When we meet people, what
Mm-hmm.
do they do, which part of the work that they have, maybe they might not be someone helpful today, maybe in future. If we learn about them a little more than saying hi,
Yeah.
will be definitely a good practice to begin with first. And then it needed to have, like, who the people are, what they do, and will they be someone who can help me in future. Do I
Mm-hmm.
need to have them as my mentor? And all that thought process was needed. So the first and foremost thing I did was, like, learned at least how to remember the people who I am meeting and what do they do. And second element is very tough, trust me, even for students. I'm sure maybe you guys have know more the Gen Z's and the Gen Alphas more do it authentic, but not for my generation back those days. And to
Mm-hmm.
go and say and introduce yourself, for example, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
you see, like, yeah, you see, for example, someone from either Visa, for example, Visa CEO is talking to the Berkeley students somewhere in a conference or something. How do you step up or take that first step to go shake their hand and introduce yourself, like that, right? So
Yeah.
even professors, so we don't do that conscious boldly. So I
Mhm.
learned how to walk up to a VP in Visa also when they presented something, and if it is quite interesting, I did as a practice to say hello to them and introduce myself to them. And I do give, like, I liked your technology or the tool that you presented today, and is it okay to be able to set up a one-on-one with you or a 15-minute session with you? So that was the second step. Building and identifying people was first, and the second one was, like, taking that bold step to go introduce yourself was the second.
Yeah.
And then the last one is probably not last. There are definitely another 10 baby steps in
Yeah.
between. And
Yeah.
in the communication, so there are two parts to it, right? One, how you can have your sponsors, even if you are in the room or if you're not in the room. Someone has to advocate for you while you are not in the room. That's
Mm.
where you have to showcase, like, okay, I do need probably this particular product. And do you have anyone in Visa who already developed this? If someone asks that question in the conference room, correct?
Mhm.
They should be able to remember a person who, hey, I do remember Kalyani's team did this, I do remember this particular team. How do you do that, right? So having that communication as my channel by sending some note about and launching of new things, or whatever the team has done as a best thing, having that, communication, not just lifting yourself, because your team is the one that lifts you up, is what I believe in. So
Yeah.
having acknowledged and sharing what the team has done, and then sending that note and registering it to the people, like, hey, this is what we built recently, if your team is coming across something, please do reach out to us, kind of it is
Yeah.
another. At least I did it, to be a little better in what I was not communicating in the beginning, and later learned it.
Hmm.
um in the journey of learning, because it's not always like one time I did it and it's done, no, right? So
Yeah, it has to be consistent. Hmm.
yeah, yeah,
No,
so not easy, my dear.
yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like as engineers, we are already quite like introverted. We already don't want to talk to people, and we
Yeah,
kind of like underestimate like social skills and communication. That's like so important. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
That's what I said, right? So how much ever you are an A plus student, it doesn't really cut it yet, right? What
Yeah.
are you doing beyond, right? What is that you are able to add value for it? I am super happy to see this whole SWE club in Berkeley, because what you guys are trying to do is like adding some, giving back to the community, pretty
Yeah.
much, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Making them learn. So these are all adds to your personal development too. Interacting with professionals, interacting with professors. How do you go out of your comfort zone? Correct. So
Yeah.
these are very important. Even though you all think that only studying is important, but personality and attitude matters. Yes.
Yes, I definitely agree. Like,
Yeah.
especially in the industry, like, I would say arguably communication can be like sometimes even more important than like the work
Yeah.
you do as an actual engineer.
Yeah. Even though
Mhm.
I say it's not easy, but I would not say it's a hard. I was a very much introvert in my entire life that I know. And if I was given a chance, I know how to be an introvert in certain places where I can be. But
Yeah.
building it is very easy if we are very conscious about our own self. Come out of that zone, make that a conscious effort, and do it. And definitely, it's not hard. If I did it, everyone else can do it.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, I was also an introvert before I realized, oh my gosh, I need to like talk to more people and be less awkward. Yeah, definitely a skill you have to improve on
Yeah.
consistently. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That was a really good advice.
Cheers. Yeah.
Um, I remember you said something about like you had mentors that helped you and stuff like that. Do you have any tips on like how did you find your mentor and how do like people find their mentors and what should you look for in a mentor or and I guess what did your mentor do for you that like helped a lot or I don't know, just yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think as part of the previous approach where I was talking about building that professional network and meeting people,
Yeah.
if you see like someone is in your stream of work, right? If you see like, hey, I'm so interested in doing, for example, data engineering, or I'm so interested in doing security side of the work in any company. So when you see like, that stream of work that you are really passionate about and passionate to work on, if you see the people who are in that, in that area of expertise, and if they are like someone that who you met as part of either your conferences or as part of your even interviews, like if you guys go for a career fair and if you meet someone who is presenting their company and be a security engineer, for example, and introducing them and getting introduced yourself to them, and also keeping in touch and asking them, can you be my mentor, is one way if they're open to it.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Not every time everyone is open, but you can choose like first what is the stream of interest that I have, and where do I kind of connect to those people who are passionate about the same topic or same area. I would
Mhm.
say that is one way to find people in that, where you are kind of segregated in the way of your passion and your interest.
Mhm.
And at the same time, not everyone is open. You can definitely find mentors even in some forums. There are like a lot of mentoring sites also that are available. I personally do not know how reliable or how good they are,
Mhm.
but do still mentor something called careervillage.com, where students do sign up and ask their questions, but I don't do them as a one-on-one mentoring as such. It is more of an email communication where they ask a question and I do reply back to them, picking on which ones that I can add value to them as a mentoring response. So those are definitely a lot of sites also. And last
Mhm.
but not least, like even your mentors can be your seniors also, for example, who passed out and who are already in the work field or anywhere, who can guide you because they might have walked through the journey already, right? So they
Mhm.
can be your mentors. In terms of choosing in your mentors, what do you choose is someone not just probably just listening and moving on. Definitely check with them how much time that they have even to mentor you. If they
Yeah.
are already busy in their day-to-day things, and if they are not able to give you some time, so get that commitment, like, hey, do you think that you can be able to meet me every quarter or every month, or in the meantime, on the first few, for example, I have to do my college applications, or I'm going through my interviews for the jobs, and can I
Yeah.
have your support for the bi-weekly for the first 2 months until I get into that journey, and later I can have it. So get the time commitment from them if they're really free or not. And two, you can have multiple mentors too. So
Okay.
not that you want to be with all of them all the time so that you don't have the conflicting ones, but you definitely can have multiple mentors. And also it's okay sometimes to let go your mentor also, if you feel like, after some time you both are like just generally talking, and not much of a value add to the conversation, but you can just let go that mentors. It's absolutely okay not to stick with them.
Mhm.
So I would say time commitment, area of expertise, and what is that you really want to achieve. Be clear with them. What is that you want them to be helping you with, and have that right, tone, have that right conversation, and then take it from there.
I see. Okay. Can I ask if you're comfortable sharing what was like your mentor experience like? And I don't know, how did it go for you?
Being a mentor or being a mentee?
Hmm.
Like,
That's
am I mentoring someone or am I seeking the mentorship?
I guess to start like being a mentee and then like your
Sure,
transition to being a mentor and yeah.
sure. So, at least from me seeking my mentors, I explained exactly how I approached my mentors.
I
So, when
see.
I was part of the product development organization, and trying to go into the security space, I did uh, go and seek advice from this, not CISO, who is current CISO of Visa.
Mhm.
He was heading the security architecture back then. I did go and ask him. I am so passionate about working in security space. What do you think that I should do?
Yeah.
And I asked him if I can have like a quarterly one-on-one, so that I can go share with him on what the progress I have made. So that's how I actually approached my mentor, and I did meet him, and I did my certifications because I took that guidance, and that's how I was able to move my pivot into the security space from
Oh,
my development career to the security career. So that's been still the norm. That's for my targeted passion I wanted to happen. And I do have mentors also who can tell me, like, Kalyani, you need to improve on this. You also need to do this. So someone who also gives you that assertive feedback,
yeah.
because that is also sometimes important. How do you know otherwise where to improve on? Correct.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Very
So
true.
that was also something that I had as mentors. At least 2 to 3 mentors I
Mhm.
have now, even still. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't rotate. I do still meet them, but some of them, when they are busy, I'm okay. But at least I'll give them like, hey, thanks for that time. This is where I stand today. how do you see that coming along? Do you see this as a, some new initiative or will work out? So I just take it casual also, but I take that moment to tell them, like, what I am doing, what are my updates also. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, that's great to know. Can I ask, is it similar to for you being like on the other side, you as a mentor? Like, I don't know, how did you meet your mentees? Or did they also just ask you and you're like, oh yeah, sure.
Visa definitely have a mentor mentee program where they
Oh,
can sign up, and if you want to be a mentor also, you can sign up. And we actually have the mentor mentee program even for our interns. Even though they are going to be a short stint at Visa do offer them a mentor, not their direct manager. So you can still be a mentor even though you are not their direct manager also. So Visa is very much into the mentorship and helping the team members, anyone with this support for sure. So that's one channel where I do sign up as a mentor. That's how they usually plug in, and they have some ways to allocate or assign the mentees and mentors together. But
I see.
otherwise, I do mentor a couple of people at this point of time, even in Visa, and also
Mhm,
some students outside of Visa.
mhm.
um, so
Yeah,
the thing that I always look at is, like, first, how to be a good listener.
that's very true. Mhm,
Because sometimes they might not need my advice. Sometimes they don't need me to solve their problem. It is sometimes that they wanted to first share in terms of what they are doing, how they are doing, and they need a good listener to begin with. And
mhm.
then I asked them, do you need me to help solve it for you? Or do you want me to give you inputs on how you can solve yourself? So that's a very important thing where I feel like, having that first listener aspect of being a mentor is very important.
Mhm.
And to take that approach. And sometimes I apply my own challenges also. For example, if I go to a mentor and if they
Mhm.
don't say anything, even though I want to ask them something and I don't get that response, or I
Oh
didn't
my
get it,
god.
right? So
Mhm.
whatever I don't get as part of being a mentee
Yeah.
myself to someone, I wanted to apply those, and, like, okay, how is she feeling or how is he feeling? How do I help them by not repeating the same thing my mentors are doing to me?
Okay. Wait, that's actually really good where you get like double, like you know what it's like, so then you can apply it and then
Yeah.
it's like opposite
Yeah.
vice versa.
I think so. That's all brings me back. I'm like, how do I be a mentor still? Because there will be a lot of people looking for that advice and looking for that help, right? So unless I face it myself, I don't know what to add value to them. So
No, that's very true.
yeah,
Yeah.
lead by example.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, that was very good advice. Um, I guess the last few questions.
Sure.
So I guess before we wrap up, is there like any final piece of advice or encouragement you'd like to leave with like the SWE audience or just anyone who's listening?
Definitely. You know, one thing I would say to all of you is going back and revising my own self. Find your time, find your mentor, think beyond what your grades are, and what do you really want to do, and what is that you have to add to your current schedule to be
Mhm.
successful.
Yeah.
So look into those things. What are that nooks and corners that you have to add to your current, um, just the education curriculum or just the grades, right? And also build your professional network, build your and maintain them also.
Hmm.
Also, it's not just about making connections, right? It's also how you can actually have industry leaders who can provide guidance also to you. So and also one another thing I would always tell to everyone is
Yeah.
your own responsibility. Is this something that I'm accountable for? And is this something that I really can do? And is this something that too hard for me? Having your own self assessment, self awareness, and be more responsible is very important factor to have for everyone. So
Mhm.
accountability matters. So that's the second thing I would say. Last but not least is like, don't be too hard on yourself. Give a pat on your back if you are doing something great. If you're not doing something great, it's okay, I'll be doing great in someday. So
Mhm.
you know, I would say take everything that comes your way and learn from it and take it as an experience and move on from there.
Oh, wow, yeah. No, that's some really good advice. Like, I don't know if you've heard, but the
Forget-
market.
don't
Mhm.
forget don't forget to attend like some industry conferences, or some of the online forums, and also like don't forget all that, it is also important. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I feel like that's all very true. I think everyone's really stressed right now because the market isn't like the best right now. But yeah, I'm really glad you said that just to highlight all those. But yeah, thank you so much, Kalyana, for sharing your experiences and your insights with us today. I know our listeners are going to gain a lot from everything you've shared. So yeah, I think that's going to be a wrap for today's episode. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and I hope you found today's conversation as inspiring, as insightful as I did.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Jesse, for the opportunity,
Oh yeah,
and
no, of course.
you.